Hi everyone. So I had a little mix-up in my last blog and I talked about professionalism in that one. So I'm going to start off blog number 2 talking about diversity and culture. When I started to think about these topics, diversity was really easy for me to define. It's how different everyone is, and we all are very different. Culture I had to think a little bit more about. What I came up with is that there's so many cultures that you could never put a number or a cap on it. What I did come up with is that there's 3 main factors that define culture: religion, socioeconomic status, and the region of the country you live in. In a lot of our CHS classes, we've talked about different types of diversity and culture. In CHS 461, we talked about how different there are parts of the world are, whether you're in a part of the world where you can't have medication or you're starving, or in a country that's pretty well off. It's all very different. In CHS 310, we had a section on communicating with different cultures and how important it is to define what you're trying to say to that individual. When I was working on my slideshow for my internship, I had to think about all the diversity and culture that was in the students I was presenting to, and how I couldn't just put that you can go to Macy's to get an outfit. Some of these kids obviously couldn't afford to go to Macy's, and I had to put a range of the different types of variety of options there are for these students. Another example of culture is when a student said that she was going to be missing an entire month of school to go to Mexico with her family. Now, whether missing a month of school is the right decision for her or not is not my decision, but it is important to take into account that her family thinks it's important for her to get to know her Mexican culture. For the definition of leadership, I came up with the process through which a person influences or motivates others to get involved. There's been lots of different types of leaders in the world, ranging from Gandhi's nonviolence and civil disobedience to Hitler, who had the biggest military expansion in history. In CHS 495, we talked about leadership, and we took an exam to see what type of leader we would be. As my role as a teacher for this internship, I'm using a lot of different types of leadership techniques. It's very important for me to remember that I'm not that much older than these students, and they see that. So I really have to step up my leadership game to show them how to act and what's appropriate or not. For one of the projects we were doing the other day, we had a student who was very afraid to touch part of the sheep body parts that the anatomy students had. I took on my leadership role, put on the gloves, and showed her first to give an example of how to do it and that it was okay. Overall, my internship's going great. I'm really excited about how the teaching's going and the timeline that we're continuing to meet every day. There was a small setback with Reed High School because our meeting got canceled for this afternoon because of scheduling issues with the third party that we were trying to have. So there's always little setbacks, but overall it's great, and I'm really excited to continue working with these kids.